come to order. First order of business is to approve the agenda on the screen. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. The next order of business is to approve the minutes from the last meeting that were distributed beforehand. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes? So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Dr. Friedman.
Right. Got a prestigious group of high school students with us today that are part of Jamie Stevenson's theater program. Jamie, come on up. Front and center here. I don't think we've had Jamie with us since I've been here at least, but she's just been with the system for a bit of time. But yeah, you could. But she's just an outstanding theater teacher, and today is an example that shows you how well she has done, how well the students have done. So I'm going to need some help with this because I want you to explain this some. But our students competed in the Trumbauer Festival, which has been going on, I read, for 80 years. And it's for different kind of levels of performance, in our case, high school performance. And students can move from here to a regional type setting. Am I correct so far? And so all of our students, the whole organization receives superior ratings as part of this. All right, am I good so far?
You can receive a good, an excellent, and a superior. And our students all receive superiors. They receive the highest marks. So, and
So what does that mean next for?
for them, these students have qualified and they placed at state. So they're done. Their next competition will be February 14th and 15th at Vestavia Hills High School at the Alabama State Thespian Festival, which we host. And they'll be competing again for state.
Yeah, this is our second year to host that.
Yes, it
Big
is.
event.
We have about, this year we have about 1,300 students from across the state that will be on our campus.
If you've not been to a theater production, you just simply must go. It's outstanding. The one, I'm forgetting the name of the one last spring, but we
Bright
had
Star.
our musicians playing, our vocalists singing, our actors were acting. It's just incredible.
We're really blessed at Vestavia Hills High School to have such an incredible amount of talented students that come from every facet, and they're supported in everything that they do. And it's a blessing to be a part of it.
Let's meet them. Okay, first place solo male contemporary dramatic is Dez Roberts. Congratulations. All right, first place duet acting contemporary comedic, Nora Trench and Brantley Newsom. Want to do some comedy for us? This was an impromptu award, though, wasn't it? First place solo female musical comedic, Caroline Copeland. All right, second place solo pantomime is Natalie Turnage, who's not with us. And second place solo female contemporary dramatic is Avery Hall, and Avery's not with us. Second place solo male contemporary dramatic is Kirkpatrick. Second place stage management, Vasily Santes. Great. Third place classical comedic, Brantley Newsom. Again. All right.
Yes.
All right. Anything you want to share with the group about your experience in theater?
It was lots of fun.
And I will say, they competed against at state over 3,000 other students to place in their categories. So they work really hard, and I'm very proud of them, the work they do on and off the stage.
Yeah, and you said they referred to this as an unprecedented set of accomplishments for the students.
Yes, they said very few schools receive 7 awards.
Yeah.
So for us to do it, it was exciting, and it's their work, it's their talent. I just get to facilitate it.
We appreciate and honor to have you here today, and they're so committed, they're going to practice.
Yeah, we have rehearsal. So.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. We'll move to item 5, which is financial statement. Ms. Brown.
Good afternoon. I've provided the December 2019 financial statements and check register for your review. As of December 2019, we've collected 20% of our total budgeted revenues. Our property tax revenues are still coming in slowly. At this date last year, we had collected 19% of our property tax revenues, and this year, at this time, it was only 14.67%. That percentage difference equates to about $2 million. I have reached out to surrounding districts and the city as well, and they're also seeing delays, and we think it's probably due to the assessments and the protests that people have done. So with taxes being due still at 12/31, we should see our collections trickle in a little faster though in January and February. And our total expenditures for December 2019 are at 25.15% of budget, and we were at 26% at this date last year. All board bank accounts have been reconciled as of December 31, 2019.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. I recommend the board approve the financial statement for December 2019.
For the superintendent's recommendation, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do we have a second? Second. Any questions? All in favor? Aye.
Thank you. Item 6, I recommend the board approve consent items related to out-of-state and overnight field trips, and these are in the athletics, academics, and the arts.
Yeah. For the superintendent's recommendation, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any questions? Nope. All in favor?
Aye.
Under new business, item A, I recommend, the board authorize me as superintendent to enter into a supplemental amendment to the contract by and between the city of Vestavia Hills, Alabama and Dunn Construction for street repair and resurfacing as submitted.
For the superintendent's recommendation, do we have a motion to approve? So moved. Second?
Second.
Questions or commentary?
Yeah, I would like Dr. Martin to brief you on what all that just meant that I said.
Sure.
So you can understand the context of this.
We're paving Steve's driveway. That's right.
So this is similar to the arrangement we had with our lawn maintenance. What we're looking at doing is mill and overlay of the parking lots there at the front of the building. We will receive a credit back for the seal coat work that was going to be done, but this will actually, the parking lots, I would say, are in disrepair. So this addresses that issue.
This is the Baird campus. We did have money in the current contract for some repairs on that, and decided to do the bigger project, which is necessary really. So the value right now of what the cost will be from Dunn is how much?
From Dunn, we're looking at $252,000.
And we'll get a credit back.
$135,000.
$135,000.
So the delta between the two is.
Yeah. And this is to solve some of that stuff that you and I were looking at that night. We did the tour where the curbing and the
So
pavement
from
was
flagpole
different.
to
Yeah.
mural building, that area needs to be addressed as well, so that the crown of the road, yes, matches up.
Gotcha.
And the value of entering into the joint purchasing with the city is because the volume that they do with street paving work, we get to take advantage of unit pricing to do this. So this is all in concurrence with our legal abilities to do that, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, yes, sir. Great.
What's the timeline?
We, if this is approved this evening, we're hoping to have done at our next OSC this Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
Moving forward as early as this week.
And it's on council agenda tonight?
It is.
Any other questions?
I drove through Barry today. It'll be much appreciated.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item D, I recommend the board approve the project to install a net at Vestavia Hills Elementary East as submitted.
For the superintendent's recommendation, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
I know you had some commentary.
I do. I'd like to make some comments about this. As you know, the changes that were made on the golf course at Vestavia Country Club, specifically in the third hole, created what we both recognize, both being the board and the Vestavia Country Club, as an enhanced, increased risk of balls getting onto our campus. And so we had evidence of that, and it was a problem. I can tell you assuredly and confidently from the outset, the ideas that the board had and the ideas that the club had were the same, to keep our kids safe. The reality is there are many members of the club, there's the leadership of the club that have children and grandchildren there, so I've never doubted that there was not an issue of safety being a priority. So we wanted to approach this work though in what would be, with safety in mind, a value add for the system, a value add for the club, and so we approached it that way. For several months there has been changes in the rules of the course that have worked well and kept balls from the playground and from the property in general, which has been good, but we knew that would be temporary. So I did want to assure everyone all along the way we've not been concerned about student safety, but we also knew we needed a long-term solution, which was indeed to put a netting system up, and the company that we would work with designed the net in such a way that it would be closest to the playground and to give us the most protection that we could have for our kids should a ball get into that area. The company that I'm recommending to you is work that one of the projects you would recognize is Topgolf. It's a very reputable firm and do good work. So we got what I thought was a very good price on it. The question was the payment of it. So the value, as you see on there, $38,500 is for the netting system and the installation. So in looking at this with the country club, both recognizing the issue was because of the hole being changed, the play of the hole, they recognized that, but I wanted to look beyond just the cost and see if there was a better value for our system. So what we were able to work out with the club was the agreement that our golf and tennis teams would be able to use the facilities for the next 5 years. That comes without cost. And then also, because the foundation works with the club and hosts dinner and diamonds at the club, they were working with, the club's working with the foundation to give support financially for them to do that. In other words, they'll get a return as well back. And I would say conservatively that the value of those two things are $70,000 to $80,000 over that 5-year period of time. And remember, the cost of the net is $38,500. So what I think we reached here is something that would benefit our athletic program, that would benefit all of our kids through the foundation, through the grants that they provide, and the value far exceeds the cost of the net itself. So we're going to memorialize this. We will do this in the form of an agreement. I cannot exceed 5 years of an agreement. That's a legal limit that we have for contracts, but we'll memorialize it. We're going to keep looking at another particular area of the campus that we want to look at for netting, but we've got to get some boundary survey things worked out first on that. But this will take care of the first piece of it. And I'm very appreciative of the club's leadership. There's been a sincere intent to try to do this the right way and continue to be good partners, and I think we've done that.
Questions?
Yeah, no question. I'd like to commend Dr. Freeman and Dr. Martin because they have worked diligently the entire time. Even as social media was blowing up that nothing was being done, these men were working behind the scenes with the club for the best interest of the kids. So my hat's off to you guys on the job that you've done.
Anything else? I think that's a great outcome. Dr. Freeman, I feel like great for our student athletes and protects our students at East and also helps with foundation stuff. That's a very acceptable outcome. So well done on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Item C, I recommend the board approve the new courses for the 2020-21 school year as submitted.
For the superintendent's recommendation, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Questions, commentary?
Yes, I'd like to ask Dr. Rainey to give you a little bit of information on these courses, particularly how it relates to the changes in the math course of study, the math standards that were approved by the state board in December of 2019. Dr. Rainey?
If you would please, so you have this document and it kind of demonstrates the transition period. So with the adoption, next year will be a transition period and then we will be in full implementation the year after that. And so with the adoption next year in our district, we will be teaching the new 6th grade standards, the new 7th grade standards, the new 7th grade accelerated standards. We'll teach the new 8th grade standards. We will continue next year in the transition window to teach Algebra 1. The following year, because middle school is where you're going to see the most significant changes, the following year, we will not have the option to teach Algebra 1. With the new standards, Algebra 1 basically has been spread over 2 years. And so the accelerated 7th grade math and the accelerated 8th grade math, those two courses combined will take the place of what we have now as Algebra 1. So if students in middle school take those two courses, then they will qualify to be able to take Algebra 2 in 10th grade. So that's probably where you're going to see the biggest and the most significant changes. The standards are basically the same, they've just been reorganized. And so with some greater emphasis on certain things like geometry with data analysis. So there will be extra standards that were added to focus on data analysis. Or as we move into the full implementation year, Algebra 2 with statistics. So really the standards have just been reorganized and offered in some different grade levels than we have had in the past. When you look at this document, it moves across, so starting on the left-hand side, for example, if a student currently is in 7th grade, next year they will be able to take the new 8th grade math standard, or they'll be able to take Algebra 1. Following that, in 9th grade, they'll move to the next column, which is the full implementation year, and they'll take geometry with data analysis. And then if they took the Algebra 1 in the transition year, they'll be able to take Algebra 2 with statistics. If not, they will take Algebra 1 with probability if they took the regular 8th grade class. So our plan, basically during this implementation time, we'll be moving from 3 levels of math in 8th grade to the 2 levels of math. We'll be very careful with the 7th grade accelerated course because with the new standards, it will be a prerequisite for 8th grade accelerated. So if a student wishes to be in the 8th grade accelerated, they will have to take the 7th grade accelerated. So we'll be careful to make sure that students who want on that advanced math track have opportunity to take that course.
But 7 has no prerequisite, right? 7 accelerated.
There is no prerequisite for 7th grade accelerated. But if you would want to take the 8th grade accelerated, you have to have had the 7th grade accelerated.
It fits hand in glove, the math does, with our work with gifted programming, how we're trying to expand those opportunities for students that are identified as gifted or not. Gives this pathway, I think, a nice option as well. So there are other courses on here listed that have to do with career pathways, and we'll share more specifically about those in the February board meeting. Dr. Cooper updates you. I can answer in here, Dr. Brandon can as well now, but those are some exciting things I think you could see that lie ahead for our students.
What's the data analysis piece that's bundled in with geometry?
Well, they've added some additional standards and they want just a greater emphasis on the data analysis or the statistics in the other class. So that's what you see reflected in the name.
Okay.
Is the additional standards and the emphasis that they're placing on them. Also, another thing you'll see too is a computer science course that's going to be offered in middle school next year. We're real excited about that. In this past legislative session, they required high schools to teach a computer science class, and they will require middle schools to take or to offer a computer science class the following year, and we're kind of getting ahead of the game. So we'll be able to offer at both of our middle schools a computer science class next year.
Are the middle school electives like the 4th period, Lancer period, Pirate period, as opposed to like a choir or a Spanish elective?
They're working on their master schedules right now, and so
Some, but not all, I would say. It's probably
Okay, is that right?
Is that how you can say that, Tanya or Chris?
It's not going to change the traditional electives that are offered, but the
Right, so you
way,
don't have to choose between choir
No,
and computer
you do
science,
not.
you can do both.
so really, right, so it's almost like offering, they have now more elective options, but it's not
Correct.
going to change traditional electives or world language electives or any of that.
Okay, you just have the ability to do both. Okay. These look great. I mean, I love them.
Yeah.
These classes are fantastic.
The high school classes are awesome.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
just for the record,
That's great.
we have a cybersecurity practice, and so I screenshot the part of the catalog around the internet marketing and cybersecurity stuff, and my little weekly report to the rest of the leadership team, I included that in there. And they were all like, can we hire those kids immediately? But that's, those are awesome classes, real world skills, super high demand, job areas right now. So that is awesome that we're adding that kind of stuff, in there. I was like, man, I'd go back to high school, take some of those classes.
And they feed, you all can't see that, but the middle school classes are designed to feed the high school classes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what, that's my ask.
so great job on all that. Looks awesome. Any other questions? Awesome. All in favor?
Item 7 is I recommend the board approve personnel actions as submitted.
Per the superintendent's recommendation, do we have a motion to approve personnel?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any questions?
A lot of people moving.
Yes, and as a point of clarification, certified for freshman campus is on the agenda. Non-certified is not. That will come a little bit later. But this allows high school to start moving forward with the people that are going to be there teaching and naming who are teaching courses, et cetera. So,
Any other questions? All in favor? Aye.
thank you. We have 2 reports to deliver to you this evening that are both exciting things coming down the road for us. The first one is our 50th anniversary planning update. Whit, he's going to share some things with you.
Wood, do you know how to run the PowerPoint thing? You go with that. You got it.
All right. Well, board members, thank you for the opportunity to address you. It's always a privilege to get to step up here and speak with you, and especially tonight on a topic that I believe will be of great interest to our community, which is our 50th anniversary. As you probably know, the school system Board of Education was established back on April 30th of 1970. And the school system opened its doors for the first day of class on August 31st of that year. At that point in time, about 2,500 students, 2 working campuses at that time, classes taking place in a church, tech classes taking place in I believe the Civic Center, and just a lot of great momentum around establishing this school system. And now, 50 years later, over 7,000 students, about to be 9 campuses, and the absolute best faculty and staff and best students you're going to find anywhere. I do want to take a moment and just say I would be remiss if I did not thank Mr. Boone for giving me all of those dates and information. So thank you very much. Thank you. It's always a joy to learn more about the history of our school system. And for this golden anniversary, we want to do it right. We want to honor the history of the school system and also where we are now and cast a vision for the future. And so we have a 4-part plan that I want to take you through over the next couple of minutes. The first one is simply building community awareness. As we were going back through old numbers on the school system and looking back at 1970, we found that there has been a lot of growth that's taken place in this community since the founding of the school system. Only about 8,300 people who lived here in 1970 when this board was formed, when we started school, and now more than 34,000. Of course, we know the census is taking place this year. Could be even a larger number than that comes in. So that's a lot of growth, a lot of people moving here after the school system had already gotten going. So we want to take time this year to make people aware that this is our 50th anniversary. In my conversations with a number of community members, there are a lot of people I found who did not know that this anniversary was here. So to do that, we've created a 50th anniversary emblem. And this is something that we want to put everywhere in the community that captures the fact that this is our 50th anniversary, that shows the founding, that shows where we are today. And how we want to display this is similar to some of what the state did during its bicentennial. We have flags that we're going to give to all the schools so they can fly this proudly outside their school. Obviously, letterhead, any official communications going out from the schools, we want that emblem to be seen. We've had conversations with the athletic department at the high schools. They want to work the emblem into their programming in the 2020-21 year, which would be that 50th anniversary year. Of course, website, social media, online. And then also we've had some storefront decals made for our partners in education. I think we have something similar to that now, but that's got that 50th anniversary emblem on it, just as a thank you to those folks for their ongoing support. So this should be seen all over the place. The second part of our plan is all about capturing our success and the things that have really stood the test of time in our school system. And to do that, we are going to put together a 50th anniversary documentary video. This video is going to be produced professionally and locally. We have entered into a partnership with a great local videographer who already has great knowledge on the formation of the school system. And now we're coming back to that videographer to interview a number of people. We've identified over 24 individuals that we want to get on camera talking about their perspectives on the history of the school system and where we are today. And the theme of it, what we've identified as a really critical piece to this, is less a linear retelling of the facts about the school system and more the themes, the ideas, and the values that have stood the test of time for Vestavia Hills City Schools. What are those things that are as true today as they were in 1970 about us? And we've already identified some things that have stood strong in our school system over that time. And I'm confident that people are going to be really proud of what they see. The commitment to academic excellence, excellence in all things really, the unparalleled community support that has been here, the commitment to quality of life, and just to making life better for the next generation of students that are coming through our schools. And so I'm really excited to show that to you. Now, this video will premiere as part of the third part of our celebration as we commemorate the milestone. One of my favorite stories about the history of the school system is about those first high school seniors that we had. And Mr. Boone shared this story again with me the other day, that the first seniors who lived in Vestavia that had the opportunity to come here, they were given a choice. You can come to Vestavia Hills High School, which in 1970 had no high school, or you can stay at Berry High School on Columbiana Road. 30 seniors in that first senior class said, you know what, let's be rebels, let's do something different. We're going to go to Vestavia. And now, 50 years later, we're back. One of my favorite comments from a parent on Facebook during the process over the last few years of obtaining the Berry campus and renovating it was a parent who said, well, we can finally say once and for all, we own Berry. And so I'm excited that we're going to be back there, and as part of our commemoration, we're going to have an event there on August 18th, 2020, to celebrate our 50th anniversary and to mark the grand opening of the new Lewis Pizitz Middle School. You have all seen the campus, you know how beautiful it is. You know that there's been a lot of work done to preserve the legacy of that campus as well. I know it's meaningful to a number of people in Vestavia, but it's an exciting place that our kids are going to really love learning. And so we're excited to take people through the building, to let them see it. We're going to have some performances from some students throughout our school system. And of course, see that documentary video as well, which I'm really excited to share with you that night. So there's going to be a lot of momentum around this. We've already been working with the administration at Pizitz and just throughout the school system to make this an exciting night. And I really, really look forward to y'all being a part of it. And in addition to all of this, there's one more thing. There's one more part of our plan here that I'm thrilled to share with you tonight, and it's how we honor our people. The thing that I feel is just a truth of this school system, you talk to anybody who has ever gone through school here, and inevitably the conversation will shift from how great of an experience they had here to that one faculty or staff member that made a lifelong impact on them. The stories that I have heard over the years here of people saying that there's this one teacher, there's this one staff member who has made me a better college student, has made me a better person in my career, has made me a better parent, has made me a better spouse. The stories just go on and on. That is the true legacy of the last 50 years. And so I'm excited, board members, to share with you that as part of this 50th anniversary, we are launching Vestavia Hills City Schools Hall of Fame. This is something that I think is the community, I hope they embrace it. I'm really thrilled that we're going to be able to finally have a continual way of honoring those people that have had such a lasting impact on our school system. So, one of the important things about this is that there's going to be a community-driven nomination process. We want to engage our alumni in the community and all over the world, our community members, our stakeholders here who have had a part to play in the school system. We want to engage them in the nomination process and letting us know who needs to be a part of this. We've put together a Hall of Fame committee that's going to be overseeing the criteria for this and will oversee the selection process and ensuring that this becomes a tradition that carries on long after all of us are done here. And we'll be announcing what that process looks like this spring. But I'm really thrilled that this is an opportunity that we have now as part of our 50th anniversary. So our hope is to have that inaugural class of inductees to honor and recognize at the 50th anniversary event. That's what we're going to be working towards. So again, there's your 4-part plan: the community awareness, the great emblem that you saw, the documentary video that we're putting together, the event at the new Pizitz campus, and the Vestavia Hills City Schools Hall of Fame. Before I finish, I do want to say thanks to a few individuals. This has been about a year-long process of developing this plan, and we put together a 50th anniversary working group that we brought in for several conversations over the last year. Vestavia residents, familiar names: Dr. Freeman, Dr. Rainey, David Powell, thank you for being on there, Laura Casey at the high school, Catherine Gorham, Emily Phillips, Meg Dedman, and Karen Ogle. And our intent in bringing them together was to make sure that this will basically bring honor to those who have been here for the whole time that we've had this school system, to do right by the community, to also recognize how far we've come and how far we've got to go, the opportunities that are out in front of us, and the great things that lay ahead for the school system. So thank you for the opportunity. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
This looks great with, is an alum. I was class of '82, and the one thing we always hung on to was we were the first class to go all the way from first grade to graduation in a Vestavia school building. So it's really strange to see the number 50. No age comments, David. So,
Did that include the 3 years you were in 3rd grade?
yes. And they were fun years.
It was weird when you were shaving and drying yourself in 5th grade. That's a great whip. I think it's the challenge for that committee is going to be to cull that list down. You know, just sitting here thinking in my head all the teachers I had throughout the years and stuff. I mean, you could that could get a little unwieldy, but that's a great problem to have.
It sure is.
You know, is that we're going to have a lot of awesome names surface. There's going to be a lot of really cool memories and stories that'll come from that, and a lot of stuff that it's fun to reflect. And I don't know that we take enough time to do that. We're too busy scrolling, and so this kind of forced moment to kind of sit back and think, oh, cool, what about that? I think that'll be a great opportunity for the community and for the school system to reflect back on all those that have made such big impressions.
Yes, sir.
Do we have events where they can come back and be honored, or I don't know when you unveil the Hall of Fame, but there's many that have retired and moved on. I'd like to, something where they can all come back and
Absolutely.
be a part.
We had some discussion about that in our working group, the thought that we need to reach out to those folks and invite them to be a part of this event, to be part of the celebration. We had some conversation with our administrative team the other day about looking at how the schools can celebrate the 50th anniversary as well, and I imagine many of them will certainly consider that, bringing them back and celebrating this big number for us. So I think that's a great idea.
Thanks, Whit.
Well done. Appreciate that. Our next report is the freshman campus, and I wanted to update you. And you heard formally from the freshman campus in October of 2018. It's been a little while since you heard about that. Dr. Burgess was queued up last year to. Dr. Burgess was queued up last year to give you a report, and then I made the recommendation that we would hang on for one more year. So he's been waiting for a year to do this. Dr. Clark's going to get us started off, and then Dr. Burgess, Ms. Howard, and Ms. Brown are going to tell you about all things freshman campus. Thank you, guys.
Well, let me just say, we talked a little bit about the excitement of 50 years. It's exciting to be in this place right now because this means that we're weeks away from the very campus having final inspection. And I know, Chris, you'll be happy when we get to that point. I know we all will. In terms of the freshman campus, go ahead and scroll ahead. What we're going to talk about today is just the operational side. So there are a lot of components to this, and you can start to sense we're meeting every couple of weeks. Our team, the administrative team from the high school, as well as our central office core team, we're bringing different directors in. But you get the sense of the excitement that's starting here for this campus. I mean, this is a situation where the administrative team, with Jennifer Brown, David Howard, our lead principal over there, Dr. Burgess, they're starting fresh with what's going to be a unique experience for freshman students, something that's not been done before here in Vestavia Hills. And just judging by some of the conversations that took place earlier, we do everything with excellence. So what a great opportunity for our freshman staff that are going over there. In terms of operational readiness, I'll sort of speak broadly and then let these three speak a little more on the detail that we're looking at for getting that campus ready. But for operational readiness, in terms of the move management, we're using a very similar process to what we used last year. And I think just talking to our elementary school principals, that worked well. We're fortunate we have Charlie Moulton back from Armstrong, as well as Barry Saunders. So we're going to make sure that we wrap around our freshman campus staff that will be moving to the former Pizitz campus with support. That's something that we'll heavily concentrate on as we move through the spring, making sure that they feel comfortable. We actually have meetings set up with Armstrong coming later this week with our library media specialist to have a conversation about what that move is going to look like, and we'll just begin to build on that as well. Moving away from the move management side, facility readiness, this is something we've been having conversation about now for several months in terms of what's going to make that campus unique. We're moving from a campus right now that services 1,250 students in range to one that has about 500 students. So there are going to be some areas of that facility that we'll have to give heavy concentration to in terms of transforming that. And at the same time, some of that facility may or may not need to be used. So we're having those conversations as well, and I know David Howard will speak to that a little bit more later. And then also just some additional logistical items that need to take place. We've been talking schedule. I know Dr. Burgess will get into that as well. But moving students, transporting students, we really have two facilities under this roof of Vestavia Hills High School. So how are we going to move students back and forth so they get the most out of this experience at both the main campus as well as freshman campus? And then I asked Courtney if she would just speak real quickly. There's a cost center element to this as well in terms of the finances and how that'll work. So if you don't mind sharing.
So in order to create a new school or reconfigure an existing school, we have to get permission from the State Department of Education. And this is done, they have a worksheet that you complete and with all the information about the school you want to create or reconfigure. And it consists of ADM information, and I've already submitted this information to the State Department. So I've already assigned a cost center for the freshman campus. And then as part of that submission, I had to request the new school creation for Pizitz as well. So funding for the new school and the reconfiguration is in arrears. So the new Pizitz school will be funded based on the ADM for the 20 days as of this school year. And the same will be for the freshman campus. So we'll just have to carve out the part based on the ADM that's going over from the state. So in the next year, it'll catch up. So anyway, and then, new schools, they have to have their own accounting system and accounting records. And I've already been working with our software provider to get that set up.
Mentioned before the fact that the staffs are coming together, logistically working through all of those items that we can possibly think of. I put back on this slide, you can see there off on the left-hand side, just using technology to make sure that we're coordinating all efforts. So this is just a shared document where we're just constantly thinking of ideas, putting things out there, designating, okay, who's the contractor that we're going to use, what's the timeline that we would like to complete this in. Moving forward, we're meeting right now on a bi-monthly basis, but as we did with Dolly Ridge and working with Ty and this summer and Dr. Freeman, making sure that if we need to this summer, go to a weekly meeting similar to what we do with ROACs. Time frame wise, looking at March 20th being that date where we've determined where all staff are going to go at the new campus. By the 22nd, we're having those meetings with staff to make sure they know just what's expected from them and what also the expectation from them to us can be in terms of their move. As I mentioned last year, I think when we were talking about the elementary school moves, one of the things that we want to make sure of is that they pack their items up and then they walk away and everything is waiting there in their new classroom when they get in. So the excitement and enthusiasm that they can have in sitting in their new classroom is spent putting that classroom together and not loading boxes into cars and doing some of those items. So like I said, I felt like it was a good move this past summer. I want to duplicate that this summer. The 29th, we'll make sure that all of the packing is complete, and in that window, we're looking at having all of our moves, because what we'll do is we'll move from the current Pizitz campus to the new Pizitz campus and then bring the freshman campus over. We want to make sure that all those moves are done by that July 3rd, July 4th timeframe, so they have the month of July if they need to, and other time periods to be able to set up those classrooms. So we want to give them ample time to make sure that everything is set up the way that they need it. And then finally, we'd like to turn that facility over to Dr. Burgess, Mr. Howard, and Jennifer Brown, make sure that by July 6th, they have that campus and they're in it doing what they need to. So from a bird's eye view, that's what we're looking at. Turn things over to Mr. Howard, Dr. Burgess. Thanks. You got it. Oh, no.
Well, thank you for this opportunity to share a little bit about what we've been doing since 2018. The daily grind of figuring out what the St. Hills High School 9th grade campus would look like for our community. And it's that balance between figuring out, is this going to be the R wing that's just 1.25 miles away, or is it going to be a totally separate entity altogether, or somewhere in between? And I think what we've understood from the board over the last several years is that somewhere in between, to make sure we're consistent with our traditions and our values for what we do right now, 9 through 12 at the high school, and extending that, but then also incorporating some ideas of what a 9th grade campus should be. And so I wanted David maybe to mention this as part of our work with the Hope Institute. Dr. Cooper has gotten us involved with that at Sanford, looking at how we can formulate different character components and ways to build mission statements at schools. We started looking at our 9th grade campus and seeing how can we address this in a whole new way there. And so we've come up with a couple things there, but David can kind of speak to our formulation of that.
So for those that don't know, this is super exciting for me because this was the old Pizitz is my home. That's where I started teaching for 7 years as an 8th grade middle school science teacher. So as you read through the mission statement, one thing that you see in here is the words transitional development that are mentioned twice in the mission statement. And this is an early work. With Dr. Cooper sending us to the Hope Academy, the experience that we're having there, this will develop, plus with the addition to our new faculty that we have, I would like to put that in their hands to look over as well. So this is just a beginning point. But transitional development, this is, from my experience at the middle school moving up to the high school, whether it was teachers, students, faculty, all mentioned the need for something between 8th grade, middle school, and 9th grade starting at our high school. That transitional development was really not there. So you would have middle schoolers come up from more of an elementary environment and were kind of taken back to how difficult the high school is. And we see this as an opportunity to transition them in a way that's never been able to be done before. So this is where this mission statement comes from. Along with this mission statement, the next slide is a list of core values. And again, these are dynamic. These are things that we can work and change as we need to, but this is a starting point.
So one of the elements that we want to speak to today mostly we're going to talk to you about facilities and transitional logistics. We're going to come back at a future board meeting, I'm not sure which month, and share with you more programmatic ideas and get into the nuts and bolts of some of our pieces. One of the bigger pieces is advisory, which we're going to be adding as a component. We're extending as a component. We do it now at the high school, but we're really going to go all in with that. And Ms. Brown is going to work with me in that next board meeting and share about those programs. But they all lead to how we build into this and then build this into the Rebel Edge that they'll experience in 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, and then 12th grade as seniors. So we want to spend the rest of our time with you today and talk through just some of these issues. We'll go through some of them more in depth and some of them less. Dave and I are going to tag team as we go through, but we'll start with scheduling. So I guess at this point we can actually take a picture of this and share it if you want to, so he'll go through it. I feel like this has changed every half day for the last 2 years on what this looks like, because really it's hard to get this right for everybody. To get it right for our parents who are carpooling to and from school, to our bus drivers, our transportation situation, to our teachers who are going to be going between campuses, our administrators that are going to go between campuses, and just making sure it all clicks and works. When you're dealing with people's time, it's precious, and you want to make sure you get it right. And so we have really teased this out so much, probably 12, 15 different iterations of this schedule. And this is what we've landed on. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Okay, but it is as close as we can get it for our community, we feel. And of course, we're going to experience this, and I'm sure there will be hiccups, and we will readdress those as we get to them. But like traffic this year at the high school, you run into those issues, and then you deal with them, and you figure out how to move forward as best you can. So just briefly going through what this looks like for ninth grade. Our high school schedule, we've changed our school start times back because of the traffic issues. High school schedule looks, or the main campus schedule looks as it has in the past. We're basically just going back to last year's bell schedule, essentially. How we've matched that up with the ninth grade, I'll get over there to that little piece at the top that looks a little, yeah, I can kind of see that, yeah. Is, we know it. We do this literally every day, so I really don't even have to look at it. We have outlined 50-minute periods for our ninth graders. We've added an advisory class as a period in the day. It's 30 minutes. 4-minute transition between courses, between classes. It's a smaller school, smaller campus. They don't need quite as much time to transition. And then our lunch period is 1 period with 3 25-minute lunch blocks. So that kind of just explains the day a little bit to you. It doesn't rotate or anything like that. It's traditional follow the schedule. But it matches up right with the high school. So actually, we should have, we'll go back and update this. It really runs 1st through 8th with advisory being 2nd period. That's something we need to amend before, so don't take a picture of this. So literally it is period for period, 1st period for 1st period, and so on and so forth. The advisory just becomes 2nd period for us. But that will be a daily part of our day, just like at the high school right now, we have study lunch as a part of our day. We've just taken out the study, teased it out into its own period so we can be specific about what we do with students during that period for intervention purposes, remedial purposes, character building, adding youth leadership activities into that, using it as a time to meet with the whole school if we need to do that for an activity period. This one little thing at the top on the other side, the 9th grade, what does it say, 9th grade extracurricular. What we had to do to build in the ability to transport students from campus to campus and provide all of the experiences and opportunities for our 9th graders that they currently have is we had to build in a little extra time. And so for our students who are freshmen and they're going to be taking courses on the 9th grade, on the main campus, we will be transporting them to their 9th grade campus in this schedule. So they'll start their morning a little earlier, about 7:55 instead of 8:10. But because they're extracurricular classes, we felt comfortable asking for that. So you're really you're just dropping off a little earlier. Which classes are these? This would be like band.
Essentially 3 busloads.
Essentially 3 busloads. It's about 180 kids worth of extracurriculars.
Do you have an actual list? This is the #1 question I get as a board member. I get ready to register my kid. What class do they take at the main campus, and what class do they take at the 9th grade?
We do have that list.
Okay.
We can provide that. We didn't include it in
It's a carpool
this.
issue, right? I mean, it's a carpool is my old.
It is. So under programmatic, we were going to tease into some of that. So no, they're okay, but we can certainly provide you with that, and we can come back whenever and show you that. But yes, we do know exactly which classes those are going to be because we're having to be particular on which teachers teach them.
Right.
And y'all just board approved our personnel. So now we can move forward with that, which is really important, by the way, for us to be able to put names with classes in the master schedule as we're putting that together. So those classes will start a little bit earlier. It's still a full period. They will load a bus. We have enough time to get the 1.25 miles from the main campus to the 9th grade. We've added in, we feel like enough time. We've also added in the natural buffer of advisory. So if there is any issue with transportation delay or otherwise, that they won't be arriving late to an academic class. Which we hope when the kinks work out, that they won't ever be late, but if they were, they would not be missing on an academic. They would be teased out of that advisory period and make it to their main class on time. So that is our goal. On the front end, on the back end, transportation actually becomes fairly easy. They would leave at the end of 6th period if they had an end of the day activity, load a bus, come to the main campus, and end their day at the main campus. It actually works out time-wise better at the end of the day than it does at the beginning. So we didn't have to
athletics
teach
driven.
and the first, there are some athletics included in that as well. So because we have so many athletes that participate, we kind of had to split them in half for the use of courts and honestly where our coaches are. Because some of our coaches have to be on the main campus to teach courses, but they coach the 9th grade sports.
So in theory, you could have a student get dropped off by the parents at the high school, picked up by their parents at the high school, and then the rest
Or
of the
by the
day
older
they're
sibling,
at the
is
old
the question,
visits.
yeah.
You could, in theory, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know with scheduling that they would
If
be
they'd be
able
in
to
the same
work both
classes.
of those,
Oh, yeah.
but you
Gotcha.
could. We just don't typically see those blended in the same schedule.
Yeah, because
but
you're not
we
putting
could.
football and then band.
Correct.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Or multiple athletics that you couldn't handle in that one athletics,
Gotcha.
because they would want to take other electives. So that's our schedule, large in part. Any questions on that before we pick up? Got a little bit more to.
Better y'all than me, man, that's a lot of.
It's a lot of moving pieces, it really is. So we're excited about talking, if you can't tell, we're excited about this. This is fun. Most of the time. Faculty and staff, as of tonight, thank you, you've board approved our 9th grade faculty and staff. We do plan to meet as our first faculty meeting during our February PD day on the 14th. We're going to meet and start working with that group specifically on some 9th grade ideas. But you can see up here, I'm not going to roll through each of these, but this kind of breaks down who we've hired in what areas, not the names. You can probably figure out some of the names though based on what they do at the high school. And of course, I think tonight you also approved David and Jennifer to officially be at the 9th grade, along with myself, as much as I can be. And we're going to continue that into some of our other positions. Obviously, a nurse, we have to have a nurse, and SRO position, taking care of maintenance, front office secretary, bookkeeper. So we feel like we've handled all of the functions of the high school that we would need on the 9th grade campus.
Tyler, there's no athletics at the freshman campus, right?
There will be.
There
yes.
will be.
Yeah, and that's, one, great use of 2 additional gyms.
Right.
We'll be able to utilize those. And then we'll also be teaching physical education at the 9th grade campus as well. So, yeah, I think what you'll see is those facilities will be used all day, morning, noon, and night, just like they are at the high school.
In theory, is freshman team sports based at the freshman campus? Or
Some.
Okay.
And again, it's because of where our supervision and coaches are,
Right.
and where our weight program is going to be.
Yeah.
And so that's a lot of our conversation as well, and how we're trying to improve our strength and conditioning program across the district, in our middle schools as well, where those resources are going and how we can best utilize them. And right now, a lot of that is on the main campus, and it's not on the 9th grade campus, which we'll look to in future years, but for now, you'll see it in both. So that's a great question though.
So you could come in and out, right? If you were in season, you might go to the high school. When you're out of season, you go to the 9th grade.
You could, what we're going to try to make sure though is that is not fluid. We want parents to understand that starting day 1 and ending at the end of the year, that you're going to drop them off here and pick them up here.
It's like freshman athletics could go.
Right, and then wherever your team practices might be different if it's after school, but as far as your course, we're not going to try to go like winter season, you're on this campus.
Because you'd have to split their
Spring
first
season,
period.
right, we'd have to do too much schedule swapping, which we don't want to interfere with that getting into
Right.
at all. Great questions though. Thank you. All right, Dave, you want to jump in?
Yeah, so essentially, these are some of the areas that we're going to discuss with you briefly. A lot of this is furnishings. Dr. Martin and I have worked very close together to set up meetings on the areas that have to be furnished, because essentially this building will be emptied and then we will have to move into these areas. Many of them are multi-use type areas. We have 2 science labs that we'll have to furnish: library, CT lab, choir and theater. Choir and theater we'll talk a little bit more about. It has probably the only part that you would consider a construction piece, which is really the dance floor that has to be constructed in there. And we'll talk about it. Multi-handicap room, a fax multi-use room, and a cheerleading room. So, yeah. All right, programmatic areas, science lab materials. So these are things we need.
Not problematic areas, programmatic.
Programmatic areas. Science lab materials, a black box theater and lighting. This is going to be our band facility currently at the existing Pizitz will become a dance/black box theater room, and we'll discuss that. Building of the dance floor, a couple of sound systems that we may be inheriting. We may not have to worry about that, and then library materials, which we'll be meeting on next week. Okay, so our black box theater dance facility. So we're working closely with a flooring company. Most people don't realize that dancers cannot simply dance on a tile floor. It is very rough on the knees, so we have to create what is like a spring-loaded dance floor. So we will take the existing Pizitz band room, and half of it will be a dance floor, and half of it can be used as seating area for a black box theater. The black box theater is something that is put up and taken down, so it is movable.
I'm just going to ask, what's
Yes.
a black box theater?
So think of theater in the round. So think of like
Oh.
curtains around, seating
Okay.
around, and a small stage in the middle, that you can incorporate the dance floor in with it, but it's just an intimate setting for theater.
So it's multi-use space.
Multi-use.
It's actually something that our theater department would love to have on our main campus, but now we can add it and have the auditorium space, so we can really do different types of performances for the entire district in use of these spaces. So we're fortunate that we had the area in the band room, because it is so nice, to use it for this, because it's smaller, it's more intimate for different types of performances. So dance will get a lot of use out of this as well.
And it's very cool because it's a portable truss system, lighting and sound, so the kids will learn how to put up this equipment, take down this equipment. So lots of levels of learning with this theater program with the Black Box Theater. So yes, we will come in, work on the floor during the summer, get it finished, and then Jamie Stevenson, who you met earlier, she will be purchasing the materials for the Black Box Theater. She was given a foundation grant of $5,000 to do that with, so we're really excited about that. And Dr. Martin's going to be able to give me some more money.
But they really are, and this is a great way for us to extend the programs at the high school, fine arts wise, into the 9th grade campus, just to make sure that we are still outfitting dance, theater, choir, band, everything that we can for our students.
So these are things that will just need to be done to the Pizitz building after, a lot of it be after the move, patch and paint post-move, paint the gymnasium. We're trying to rebrand this so that you realize the first group of students will have already been there. So we would like for them to come back to something that's unique, something that's new to them, and not just a continuation of middle school. Painting of the band room. We will do, of course, with the Black Box Theater, we'll do a dark color throughout the band room to help with the Black Box Theater. Floors refinished. We're working with a company that will be doing that for us so that we don't pull crews from different areas. We can focus all the attention on that using the contract crew. Carpets, new custom lobby mats, remove Pirate brand, rebrand with the HHS logos and alma mater, and then, of course, front signage. So we were just there today with the company that did this for us in our gym, and we will probably mirror a lot of what you've seen in the high school's gym in the 9th grade campus gym. So the alma mater, you play one rebel, you play us all. This will be the new court logo. It will look like the high school as well. So they will walk into a fresh, new 9th grade campus.
Are both gyms there right now competition gyms, or is one a practice gym and one's competition?
One is practice, one is competition. You can play certain events in both gyms. You're limited in seating. There's a little bitty tiny area of bleacher. Our intent with the 9th grade campus isn't to host a lot of competitions there. We still, for scheduling reasons, teams still want to schedule freshman, JV, varsity together in a set because of travel and other things. So most of our competitions will still be on the main campus. But it's great to have these additional facilities for practices, so now our teams aren't triple and quadruple stacking practices in the afternoons up there until 8 o'clock just for practice. We can actually spread those out over both campuses.
So I guess between like volleyball and basketball and stuff, this gives us a net new 2 more courts.
Exactly. I mean, you
Yeah.
think about it, we have 5 basketball teams, and they all have to practice in 2 gyms currently, so we can spread this out over 4 gyms and maximize our time at home, homework, and those types of things as well for all of our students. 9 through 12. So we really appreciate the space. I mean, the elbow room, again, for 10 through 12 is going to be wonderful with the.
Yeah, that's one of the things obviously I don't have to solve it now. But that's kind of one of the beauties of which I'll do to figure out is that, I think you mentioned the school has 1,250 students now. It's going to have 500 to 600 later. So there's going to be space that you can kind of envision, hey, in a couple of years, we'd like to do this with that.
We don't have to solve it now, but we do have to solve it by like May of this year, so. We have a few.
No pressure. You've only had since 2018.
All right, so technology, our goal for technology is to make sure our students have access to as much or better than what they have on the main campus. And so we're really just trying to mirror our spaces and do as much. And we've been working with Mr. Price and our team in technology to make sure that this happens. And so, it's really just about identifying all of the areas that we're going to need. And that's been the hardest part, is every time you turn around, it's like, oh gosh, we forgot about that, or oh, we're going to need some of those. And taking what we currently have, making sure it's working and up to snuff, and then sharing that across the 2 campuses, and then filling in where the holes are. So it's it's a lot to account for when you're talking about student use computers, teacher equipment, classroom equipment, what goes in the library, what students need. And one thing we didn't include on this is the use of the WEPA printers, the kiosk printers that we've added. We want to work with WEPA and build those into our ninth grade campus as well, because we think that's a beneficial service. So, you can see the list. It's not exhaustive. It's pretty close. But everything down to a fax machine. You're like, really, fax machine? Yeah, we still have to fax things to the State Department and other schools for withdrawals and enrollment. So we need a fax machine. We don't have another one of those. So we're gonna have to find one.
Does it come with an abacus? Do you get those?
You get 2 abaci for every. Yeah. So the PD virtual room, we are identifying a space on the ninth grade campus that are one of the great things about our high school currently is that our faculty and staff are really enjoying working within their departments and their professional learning communities. The work that we've done there. One of the hardest parts as a faculty is us talking about not being a family anymore in that way. And so we're going to work to create as close as we can a virtual space to where if the world language teachers need to be working with the world language teachers on the main campus and obviously physically can't be there, they can at least have a room and a place to go where they can work together virtually, English department, history department, how best we can do that to really keep our faculties in sync, knowing we only have so many days within the year to physically pull them together during the school day, but be able to do that more on a daily basis through technology. So we're hoping to identify that space and then flesh that out.
And that was something that we learned from Hoover, is just not to leave those teachers in isolation and feel like they're disconnected from the rest of their department. So we just want that to be as close to face as possible.
And then lastly, we're talking about safety. Obviously, that's a big component of any campus. The main campus is it's such a difficult monster to tackle with safety and how it's ever changing, and we always need to be improving that. So looking to expand that over 2 campuses with the administration that we have and the teacher and the faculty is looking at what Bezits already does, because they do a wonderful job with this. They have good plans already in place, just making sure that those fit with our language and our lingo for our faculty to be able to manage that. And then just go through the pieces one at a time and make sure that we have everything covered in safety protocols, plans from what's expected of us and what we expect of ourselves and our students.
One thing to realize that in that building, we're only going to utilize pretty much the lower floor. There's a few areas of the upstairs. The majority of the upper floor, you run into a fire door, so we can close off that building and lock down that section of building so the kids can't venture out into areas they don't need to be in. So essentially, we'll be in the downstairs. Our rally points that Bezits is currently using, we will continue to use those. We will be broken into wings as opposed to pods. If you're still using the pod format, it'll be English wing, science wing, social studies, so on and so forth. So those evacuation plans will just follow along with what they're already doing.
Well, it's an adventure. It's going to be a great one for us. It's different for Vestavia Hills High School. It's different for our faculty and staff, and we're grappling with that now just as a staff. We're really starting to see everything like, oh, this is the last, you're kind of experiencing it. So our Christmas breakfast was like, this is our last, so we're going to find opportunities to continue to do those things and build that community that we've worked so hard to get to over 50 years. We want to make sure that moves forward for the next 50 years. Whether it be in this configuration or any other that we might have due to expansion and growth. So we'll be back at another board meeting, but any questions that you have for us now?
Did you set this up with its own PTO from a computer support or
So
umbrella vendor?
our PTO is here actually. No, I think our plan is we're going to keep the PTOs intact. It's going to be the Vestavia Hills High School PTO, and we will have representatives from the ninth grade in various committees and components to be specific to the needs of that campus, but to still operate as one PTO.
It's like athletic association.
We're excited about, yeah. And athletics will run out of the athletic department for Vestavia Hills, just to really keep it all interwoven as best as we can. Good question.
Any other questions?
Will the first campus get the morning announcements like the main campus does?
You'd write that one down. Have not thought about that.
Yes.
Yeah, we should.
Yes.
It's
We've already
all
had that
done
discussion.
through the web, so it's just a web link.
Okay.
So we should be able to do that.
During advisory.
At an advisory period, yeah. So, had not put that on the list, so thanks.
Stump the chump.
And there has been one of those every single day in this process. So, I forgot about that, right? Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you all. I know that's a ton of work, guys, so thank you all so much for that.
I appreciate Pepper's team working on this, and
if you felt like you were in the minutia or micro, you were, and I purposely wanted them to do that because there is a sense of anxiety, as Dr. Arendoff can attest to, about a move like this. Dr. Burgess and his team are dealing with it. But I want you to know they're in the micro, they're very deep into the details of things. And I'm wholly confident in the work they're doing. We'll come back and Dr. Burgess and I'll talk on time and what might be best for that, about the next report. But I really want you to hear about advisory, what's going to take place there. That's really some good stuff. But this kind of thing tends to be the questions people ask most. So we wanted you to know about where they are with it.
And I do want to just say, I appreciate all the work y'all put into it. I mean, because you didn't get to just stop your day job and like, great, I have 2 years to go plan for this whole other thing. You have like a whole day job you have to do and do well, and then you have to do all this other planning work on the side. So I know it's been a tremendous amount of work and effort, and we really do appreciate the time y'all put into it. It's very well thought out and thoughtful as well.
And Tyler even bought a pickup truck to haul more kids between campuses versus the Jeep. So
Overflow.
That's right.
The way kids.
Any other thing? All right. We are at the public comment portion. We will accept public comment. Please limit your comments to the stuff on the agenda. State your name and your address. Any public comments? Going once, going twice. There being none, we are adjourned. Thank you.